It's me. Okay, so the next episode was better. The something crisis point two blah 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 thing was much better than the other one. Like I said, I was just so full of rage, and I started watching this one and fell asleep to it. And I was like, all right, let me give it another watch now and see how I feel. So again, took notes. So I'll start with my notes and then we'll go through it. So I love that we've now reached the point with the Temerian. So, like, the Temerian, obviously, we had Picard meet them, and then we never really saw them again until this show. And I love that this show is, like, including the shit out of the Temerian to the point where, like, when the Temerian dude shows up and he's like, Temba! I was like, I knew, like, for some reason, I'm now, like, I knew exactly what he meant by that. Like, don't get me wrong, it wasn't Temba with his arms open or whatever is like that, but it was like I still, knew what it meant. So that part's pretty cool. I do like that Star Trek does that after a period of time. Like the amount of people who know like Klingon and stuff like that is just insane. Like I don't, but like it's just insane how much like they've developed their own language, and for some reason it really works, and people after a period of time can start understanding it. Like I said, we didn't see those guys again after Picard, but like I love that Lower Decks is beating the daylights out of them. I got really confused when it was like Dagger, and I was like, what kind of weird ass universe are we in? But sooner or later we do find out that we're in a hollow thing, which I thought was cool. I did laugh out loud when they made nods to the Kelvin verse. I was like, ha! I like how we're at least like hat tipping. Like this show is so good in the concept of we're not just going to talk about regular Star Trek. We're also including the Kelvin verse nods as well. I'm glad that it didn't just stick with that. It's literally going across all of Star Trek. It does not give a fuck. So that part's great. One of the things I did like about this episode, maybe it's just because of like my brain likes the cinematography stuff of it. The part that was supposed to be the movie portion of it, you know how when you go to the movies and like there's little black spots that appear because of like the reel and stuff like that? That part, it had that all throughout the movie portion of it, where it had like the little black spots in different areas. Whereas when you're back to like real life in the cartoon and stuff, no black spots. Or if they did, they were far more indecipherable. But you could definitely see them, especially when it was against like a lighter background when it came to that. But I thought that was a nice little touch to go ahead and have like the little black spots that we typically ignore when we're at the movies because, it takes away from the world we're in if we don't. Boombox Guy makes an appearance, like the Punks, 1982. Again, the movie we're going to, like, enjoyed that. I do feel like this was definitely more of a shout out to, I can't remember which movie it was, but it was basically the movie where they go back to 1982 and all that fun stuff or whatever. It was like one of the last movies with Kirk in it. But I liked that. I thought that was cool, and I thought it was great. The Knick-Knack character made me laugh a couple of times, and then all of a sudden, when he turns out to be, she's like, oh, third act Knick-Knack reveal, and I was like, yeah, I agree. I was hoping Knick-Knack was more than just that. So I thought that was cute. I liked the good Tendi development. So Tendi, up until this point, I always felt like, oh, cute little Tendi and stuff like that, but they're really giving her layers in this season, which I appreciate. She comes from like the family of space pirates and stuff like that. And now her being like, I really want to be, a captain and stuff. Like, okay, like you can do that, girl. Like, let's do this thing. It was a nice development for her to see how she could take charge and everything like that and be sassy if she wanted to be. When we finally got to Kitty Ha, don't get me wrong, my brain was immediately like Kitty Hawkins anyway, as it was. Because it's just, it's very close and like, your brain gets used to certain things. I feel like they were channeling, I wasn't sure if they were channeling like the Lion King or like the Wizard of Oz with the weird thing, because that's what it felt like. It definitely felt like it was either, we were either going the Lion King route with like that big ass, not Lion King, that's not what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of, Aladdin. Remember when he goes into the desert and like he talks to the Cave of Wonders thing or whatever? Thought that was cool. But I wasn't sure if it was like Aladdin or if it was the Wizard of Oz and something was controlling it and stuff. it was a weird little reveal where it was the Wright brothers, and you're like, okay, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? So, not sure about any of that, but I feel like it just kind of went off a cliff at that point. When he showed up at Kirk's farm, I was like, oh my God, what are we, did Shatner decide to show up for this? And it was like, no, even better, fucking Sulu did. And like, I'm so pleased that George Takei actually did show up. For his meager time that he was there, I feel like we got the real George Takei doing the way that Sulu should have been done. Like when he said something, he's like, I literally just said that. Or that he grows frustrated and people start asking him questions and he's like, yeah, I don't feel like answering this. The horse is going to bite you now. Like, that feels like the George Takei we know and love on the internet. So I was into that. And I was very pleased. He sounded really good, too. Because, like, you know, when you hear some of these voices, they sound old. But for some reason, he still sounds really young. So good on him for that. And finally, as we get towards the end, William is alive, and now he's Section 31. I forgot about Section 31, to be quite honest with you. I remember that it was a thing when we had Archer's freaking friend. It was many, many, many TV shows ago. I feel like we haven't really gone and done much, but Section 31, did we do things? I feel like, I don't know. I kind of like the Periphery, but I kind of forgot about them until they did this. So for those of us keeping track at home, we're trying to figure, like, you know, you're always trying to figure out who the big bad of the season is or what, like, the main theme. We've got a few themes going now. Like, we've got the theme going with Rutherford's eye thingy. We've got the theme of, like, now William Boimler. Like, what are we doing here? It seems like we're starting to do a lot more things than we need to be doing. Like, everybody's gonna have a big bad or something like that by the end of the season. So I'm interested to see where we're going with that, but it's I like my continuity. Like, I really love when you have a TV show and, like, as you know, it doesn't have to be every episode, but like every couple of episodes, you hat tip at, like, the theme. You know what I mean? Like, we talked about Bad Wolf is something I'll use as a great example. Where, like, you know, you'd be in a regular episode of Doctor Who, and, like, all of a sudden, there was, like, Bad Wolf written in the background somewhere. So you're like, oh, shit, there's that Bad Wolf again. So ultimately, you find out what's going on. So, like, I love an ongoing theme that, like, doesn't need to smash you in the face, but it can be in the background every now and again. I don't know what fucking theme we're going with this season. And maybe we're not going with a theme, but it's starting to feel like we've got too many big bads without any more development as far as what the fuck's going to happen next. So I don't know. I'm interested to see what you think about that and stuff like that. It's problematic that now we have, you know, Section 31 and William Boimler, who I guess is Bad Boimler or whatever now. And then we also have the problem for Rutherford's eye thing, which might, I'm sure, be a Section 31 problem if I'm thinking too much about it. But yeah, where are we going with this show? Please explain, because as much as I love me a one-off kind of thing, I also like continuity. So, I don't know. Let me know what you think. I'm actually going to try and watch Quantum Leap now, episode 2 or 3, or both, if I can fit. I'm not promising both because I'm kind of tired and beat up. So, anyway, let me know what you think. I'll talk soon. Bye.